Hello, welcome to a new episode of Women's Wellness with Dr. Dow. We are in the month of September, and this month's topic is wait, don't tell me. It's time to face the scale. It can be a bit of a shocker that day you step on the scale and weigh more than you thought you did. Perhaps you're feeling bloated in the tummy, or you could be gaining weight everywhere, your arms, thighs, waist, and buttocks. How did the extra pounds creep up on you from nowhere? Whether you're starting your weight loss journey now or finding yourself in the middle of struggle and working on maintenance, the struggle, it's real. This month, Dr. Dow is going to clue you in about some sneaky weight gain culprits that you just might not even be aware of. And he will also give you fantastic pointers that will keep you on track for weight wellness going forward. So Dr. Dow, welcome. It's so good to have you back. This month of September is about weight wellness, so I think it would be nice if we start with what your role is as an acupuncturist and how you help this weight wellness process for your patients.
I think it goes across all spectrum of healers. As a professional in traditional Chinese medicine, a lot of patients come and seek us for advice as well as actually weight reductions or weight control. This is actually quite common in our practice. And not only that, secondarily, a lot of people's conditions are related with their weight issues.
Mm-hmm.
This could be somebody who has heart issues, hypertension, or pre-diabetic or diabetic, as well as many other issues that may have great potentials as well as actual direct impact on the disease that they have. So having said that, that is something that we deal with regularly. So, and a lot of patients seek us out to find ways to help them to lose weight. And as you know, weight loss as well as weight reduction or weight management, it's not easy. It's a difficult situation, and many people in this country try their best to go to diets, restrictive diets. And we have literally every single year or two, we are going to have what we call a fad diet or something new or something exciting. Just this year, we have keto diet, ketogenic diet right now. But, it could be South Miami diet, South Beach diet. It could be, Atkins diet before. It could be many different forms of dieting. And I think when you just focus on the diet, you really miss the point of the whole concept of weight control and weight management. The reality is that the weight management, weight control has a lot to do with basically you want to be fit and healthy. That's really the bottom line. So as we get older, obviously we are less fit if we don't exercise regularly. As we get older, and also we gain weight much easier, and we tend to have more belly. The fat tends to sit right there, and we have fat sits right on our hips. This is not uncommon, and sometimes it's very frustrating that it doesn't want to go away. And that a lot of times leads to actually a lot of time discouragement as well as just eating more. And that actually just further aggravates the condition and the problem. So I think weight management is very important in a sense as part of the health plan, part of getting healthy, and really trying to lose weight or trying to have a better control of weight really relates not just with in the sense of physical situation or body restrictions of diet, but rather it starts in the mind. I think you got to have a clear mindset what you're trying to do. And a lot of time we beat ourselves up, or a lot of time we lose the confidence, and a lot of times we try so hard to harness our willpower to make it work. And at the end of the day, we do need willpower, but willpower doesn't last that long. Willpower is more of a short-term energy. And so a lot of times I frequently say that what's going to carry you more than willpower is basically habits. So you need some willpower to get kick-started, but you also need some habits. So a lot of time I ask my patients to first examine their habits of their life, their lifestyles. And that could go down to eating habits, that can go down to exercise habit, that can go down to just overall sleep habits and emotional as well as just lifestyle habits, because a lot of these habits plays a role on how we become fit, healthy, as well as in a very good way. So I have a few key points and tidbits I can run through for everybody. And why don't we just get started? The very first thing is regular eating habits.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important to have regular eating time. When we have a regular eating time, frequently our blood sugar is more maintained. So it doesn't go through a much, big, huge fluctuations. And when it goes through huge fluctuations, we tend to eat too much when we are famished. But if we have a stable meal plan, that means eat breakfast, eat lunch, eat dinner at a certain time. If, say, you set a time of 7 o'clock in the morning to eat breakfast, 7 o'clock in the evening to eat dinner, and say 12 or 1 o'clock for lunch, stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't deviate too much from it. Plus minus within 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Try to keep it that way so you don't fluctuate too much. Your body will love you for that because your blood sugar is much more stable. And when that happens, you're not famished, you're not trying to eat too much next time when you're overly hungry. So that's the very first
So
thing.
on this time factor, what about like in our household, and it's been this way for me ever since growing up, we tend to eat later because I come from a European culture background. So we tend to eat later. We eat breakfast at the same time as everyone else. We tend to eat lunch more around like 1 or 2 o'clock, and then we don't eat dinner until 8, 8:30, sometimes 9 o'clock, but it's consistent that way each night. Is that still beneficial, or does a person really need to rewind and try and eat before, let's say, 8 o'clock?
Well, I think it all depends on what time you go to bed. I mean, ideally, you don't want to eat 1 hour before bedtime.
Okay.
The ideal time to have dinner is actually usually about 2 to 3 hours before your bedtime.
Okay.
And then after you eat, I always recommend that do your dishes, wash your dishes, clean it up, and then
Right.
go take a walk. I have a busy day. A lot of people have a busy day. At nighttime, guess what happens when after meals? You get into this, what do you call it? Snoober, whatever. You get
It's like a funk where you just want to eat and then
You
plop
get this
yourself down in front of the TV.
exactly. And so a lot of people actually go to sweets. They feel like they need to have some sweet
Yeah.
just after dinner to kind of seal the deal, so to speak.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they sit down for TV shows. I can't do that. If I sit down for TV show, I'm going to fall asleep. I mean, you can talk to my wife. I'll fall asleep like instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do after dinner, immediately I get up, I clean the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
I wash the dishes, and pretty soon I go take a walk. I really try not to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
And not only the walking after dinner, and I'm very lucky living in the neighborhood is pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
I can take a 1 hour walk and in the evening cool air, as well as it help with digestion. It's more of a stroll, more of a walk. It's not like an intense exercise. But what that does is that it gets things going, it gets the digestion going. And when I come back to the house and get ready to go to bed, my stomach is not as full, and so it's well digested. So I think if you eat late, answering your question, if you eat late, just make sure that you don't sleep right away after you eat.
Right. I actually think your method is a healthier response because I imagine that walking also winds down just all of your thoughts, everything for a better night's sleep too, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, actually, you sleep better. You absolutely sleep better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there, well, hold on, but people sit in front of TV and you fall asleep, and then you wake up and you can't sleep anymore.
Right.
And so it's a very disruptive way.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time I don't really recommend TV after dinner. I think it's a very difficult time, but most people do that, and because they want to relax, they want to unwind. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is, I believe sometimes you don't really get unwind. You just get tired and kind of, you know, kind of exhausted from actually watching TV.
I
So
can see how that's true because especially depending on what your programs are that you watch, some of those programs you get so caught up in the action or the stress of it, it starts emotionally, it impacts you. I know I end up dreaming of what I watched on TV.
yes, yes. So I think regular eating habit is important. And the second thing is habits, developing habits. I think developing healthy habits and keeping the habits, and really focus on not just doing everything with your willpower. Don't always say, hey, you know what, I need to do this. I'm going to have willpower to do it. A lot of times, you got strong willpower, but they don't last that long. And the key to the last, everything that lasts longer is your habits.
Hmm.
If you have good habits, you can really, a lot of good things can happen with you if you have good long-term habits. And the third thing is fitness. You got to make sure you carve out some time during the day where you can do some exercise that can stimulate and agitate your energy a little bit, get your energy up. We already know that if you can do some exercise or have a very active lifestyle, your energy level is going to be a lot stronger. And
Hmm.
when your energy level is a lot stronger, it's a kind of like a positive spin. Then you exercise more, you move more, and you burn more calories in some ways. And your life is more engaged. You're going to be happier, and you're going to be less depressed. Your mood's going to be good. So there's a lot of good things around that. So I think the fitness and energy is very important, tied together as the number three thing, number third. And the number four is proper sizing. I think the sizing is very important. A lot of times we don't necessarily understand what that means.
Hmm.
Look at the size. I mean, I recently took a trip. Fortunately, went to Europe for a trip, and over there everybody drink coffee.
Right.
So I decided that I want to order a uh, latte, a decaffeinated latte. So I asked them to give me a large decaffeinated latte because over here, I go to Starbucks sometimes and maybe coffee bean, and then I have a large decaf latte and just sit there and relax and read my books. And so I asked for it, and the waiter comes in, a very nice waitress, and comes in with the latte that is small.
Yes.
And I'm like, that looks like a small to medium size decaffeinated latte. And she
Hmm.
said, so I asked her, she said, no, this is large. I say,
Hmm.
no, this is small medium. This is kind of medium. And she said, no, 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 this is regular large. And then later on, I realized is that every place served the same size. That's large. And I realized, oh my God. Okay, so what we have in the United States wasn't large. What we have is what I call a ginormous.
Me
Okay.
too.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
not the way they drink coffee. I mean, they have little coffees, like little cup. I'm like, whoa, we don't drink little cups here. We have like real cups, like real man's cups. I mean, I realize it's the size.
It is.
Everything we do is what
Super
we call
size.
a bigger than Texas, maybe.
Mhm.
Everything we do is big.
Right.
The cups are big, super size everything. So what I've done in my life, and I realized that, so I realized, I don't need to order anything large. I can order something that's medium, that is small, that is still in this country, that is still considered large in other countries. I don't need that much. I can downsize, I can proper size.
Hmm.
Same thing as plates. I mean, do I really need 12-inch plates? Right? I mean, my wife and I have been practicing this. We've been downsizing. We're putting the 12-inch plates up in our upper cabinet.
Hmm.
And we have downsized to 10-inch to 8-inch. Right now, we are playing between 6 to 8-inch plates. And because that's all the food that we really need. Do we really need more than that?
Hmm.
The containers that we have, because, the truth is, the bigger the container, the more we just fill it in.
Exactly.
It's a closet theory, right? The more closet you have, the more you're going to find stuff to put in there,
Hmm.
right? So watch your containers.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at your content. Look at the size that you eat. Do you really need that much food? Because truly, the more you eat, the bigger you're going to become.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So to start with, I would really look at proper sizing also. So
Right.
that's kind of like the fourth thing. I put it right down here, the fourth thing that I want to talk about. And proper sizing also means everything else. The car you drive, the clothes you wear, the bed you sleep in, a lot of different things. The chair you sit on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody love a big, big, comfortable chair,
Mm-hmm.
but does the big one really fit you that well? You
Is it
know,
Goldilocks?
right? I mean, yeah.
No,
So,
it's
so
true.
there's a lot of thinking behind it. You got to start to think. I mean, we are into what are we into? Big, comfortable leather couches, all right? That you can sink yourself in there. Absolutely. You just become more sedentary.
Mm-hmm.
So is that really that good for you? Okay, I'm sitting right now in front of a table, and my furniture is this Chinese furniture that has no cushion on it. Do you think that Chinese are just crazy? Why do they want it? It's just a hard mahogany or redwood and have no cushion on it. I think they're nuts, right? And
Definitely.
it's not even that most comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they do that? Well, they don't want you to sit that long. I want you to get your butt going and move. And
Right.
so, in some ways, I realized, for the longest time, I say, oh, this Chinese furniture. I'm Chinese, so I have Chinese furniture, but this is like, who designed this Chinese furniture? It's just not comfortable. And later on, I realized, hey, there is a purpose and meaning in these chairs. Chairs are meant to be sit, but not sat for so long. You're supposed to get up, move around. So now I embrace them. I don't put cushion on them.
Mm-hmm.
Now I like them because they force me to have to get up. Otherwise, my buns get sore.
I love it. And it probably helps us with alignment too, because when you sit on a hard, both you and I are sitting on hard chairs, but I don't know about you, I find that I tend to move forward in my chair, so I'm almost at the edge at times.
Mm-hmm.
Then it makes me sit up straighter too. Without meaning to, I just catch myself naturally sitting up straighter. But boy, I can't wait to get off that chair and start moving around again.
Yes, yes. And also, you know what? I got enough cushion already in my butt already. I don't need much more.
Not true.
Yes. So, and another thing, the fifth thing,
Mm-hmm.
is something that I think is very important for people to realize is that we must consciously, consistently, regularly monitor. And I think we need to be honest with ourselves and we need to weigh ourselves. Try not to avoid that because frequently it's difficult to manage what we cannot measure. When we measure something objectively, it gives us some idea and some reference that can help us to do better. So a lot of times, you know, if I'm doing some weight control, or actually I don't do it just for weight loss, I do it for hydration. So sometimes if I'm doing a hike, a very intense 5 6 hour 4,000 feet hike,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to check my weight before I start and check my weight afterwards. I actually see myself like literally lose 2 pounds, and a lot of that was water weight, and I realized I'm becoming very dehydrated, for example. So a lot of times I look at that. I mean, because the heaviest thing in our body, besides our bones, is the water that we drink.
Yes.
So a lot of times that weight give me some idea of the water weight that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But consistently, if you weigh yourself regularly, then you can see your own weight, going up and down. So 5 years ago, I've given this wonderful gift. It's called Fitbit. Everybody have, smart tracker now. There are smart watches you can have. Apple produces them, Garmin produces them. Almost all major ones produces them. So I was giving this Christmas present, and this is called a Fitbit One. And so it basically just a smart pedometer. Some people doesn't think it's accurate, but I think it's pretty reasonable. It give me some reference. So give me some idea like how many steps I do. And I just realized, I just want to monitor it. I really want to keep track because that what it does is just remind me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really helpful. And in some ways, I didn't realize how helpful this can be to have somebody who nags at me all the time on the side of me. Now, this is like my wife now. So it's like nagging me. You got to get up. You got to go walk around. So
Right.
that is actually what I'm getting now. And I would say the last 5 years is really has helped me to really stay focused with my fitness, stay focused with my steps, stay focused with my hikes, my walking regimen, and has really helped. So I think honesty in monitoring for yourself is crucial. So scale is helpful. Some kind of tracker for your exercise is helpful, and be open to it. Don't shy away from it. The more you shy away from it, the more you don't know, the harder and more challenging it is for you.
So I
And
have a question, Dr. Dow. Let's talk about mindset for a moment, because I know that what the advice you're giving right now is very essential and very positive advice to give. I know that there are individuals out there that get obsessed, though, when they have a scale that they're stepping on every single day, they become obsessed with it and get deflated by that feeling of stepping on and not achieving their goal. How can they have a healthy mindset? Like, give us a tip for what to say to yourself so that the scale becomes your friend rather than, or the Fitbit becomes your friend, rather than feeling like a failure when you turn to these devices and maybe don't live up to it, or that you don't become the opposite of, so overdoing it in a way.
well, that has a lot to do with your mindset, has nothing to do with the tools you have.
Correct.
The
So what's
scales give you a number, right?
right?
The Fitbits or the trackers give you some steps and give you some data information. It's not their fault. It's not a fault of theirs. They just give you some data. A lot of time is what we do with the data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a lot of times it's our mind is
Right.
what we do with it. Oh my God, I just didn't do this. I need to, you know what? If somebody's anxious over that kind of things, a lot of times because they already have some anxiety. Okay, so it's not just a scale. It's not just a Fitbit or tracker. A lot of times that's a condition. That's a mental condition that need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's not the tools. The tools are fine. It's how you use the tool and how's your relationship with these tools.
Mm-hmm.
So because a lot of times it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. In some ways, if you're anxious with it, you say, oh my God, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to go on a scale. And the more you do that, the more you push away from your goals of losing weight or weight control, the more it becomes difficult.
Right.
Okay? Instead of shy away from it, trying to find ways where you can face it eye to eye. Look at your scale. You are my friend. You're not my enemy. Scale don't talk back at you unless, I was thinking about coming up with a talking scale. I want to get some celebrities on it and, give you some really funny phrases, but I don't think anybody's going to buy it. Unless your scale talk back to you, your scale is just giving you a very clear information and hopefully accurate information for you. You're the one you're the one who decides what you're going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if that information make you anxious, you may want to think about why is it making you anxious? Deal with that. Because that anxiety might be the root of the issues with your fitness, with your weight management.
Very good point. Yeah, very, very good point.
So that is some of the things. I think I have one more thing that I wrote down here, and
Keep it coming.
yeah. So the other thing is regular reminders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the trackers, the scales, they are meant to be a regular reminder.
Okay.
So I usually suggest that you get a fitness buddy. I'm sorry, not body, fitness buddy, like a girlfriend or boyfriend or friends that, that will exercise with you. Oh, that will just always somebody who's fit and who is a good mentor is gonna like remind you, hey, you know what, we gotta go exercise or we gotta go do this. Um, that I think would be really helpful, some kind of reminder. And you don't need somebody to really help you to remind you. You can actually nowadays everybody has smartphone. Most people have, and you can create calendars, you can create timer, you can create alarms that tell you not just waking up, but exercise time. Right? Tracker nowadays or smartwatch nowadays is so smart now. It tells you, hey, you got to move your butt, okay? Which is very nice. I mean, it's a reminder, okay? I mean, our life is distractible. We have so much thing going on.
Right.
And you need sometimes that kind of reminder to remind us to do the things that would be really helpful. And the last thing is understand what he means by control. This control is all about having a sense of yourself, being able to control your weight. And sometimes it's hard, but if you're able to control it pretty nicely and be able to fit in the range, I frequently tell people, don't go for a goal in the sense of I want to be at, say, 145 pounds or 125. Don't do that. Give yourself kind of like a range. Okay, so the range might be, oh, I want to go to, I think healthy and a lot of healers, a lot of health practitioners can give you some idea what would be a healthy weight for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, hey, your healthy weight is below 130. So if you're in the range of 125 to 130, you're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, instead of say shooting a number, and when you shoot a number, let's say 130, and then you go crazy when it goes to 131.
Right.
And you're okay 129. It doesn't make sense, right?
So when you're saying stay within the range, then it's okay if you're fluctuating within that range, because it could be a variety of reasons, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that you're trying to maintain that range because it's healthier for you.
Yes, if I'm drinking water right now, I'm gonna weigh some extra weight already into my, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yes, it should be okay.
Mm-hmm. What's the best time of the day to weigh oneself?
A lot of time is the first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
When you wake up in the morning. What I do is I wake up in the morning. A lot of times, I take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
I go do my bathroom thing. Now it's a TMI situation now. So afterwards, I go weigh, and I know I'm gonna weigh the lightest.
Right.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not gonna compare apple to orange.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, if I ever weigh myself, which I don't, if I weigh myself at the end of the day, I know that I'm gonna be 2-3 pounds up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's quite a bit fluctuation because I'm busy, I'm exercising, I drink a lot of water, so a lot of time I'm gonna have a lot of fluctuation, and it's okay. It's okay. So I usually choose a time. Oh, that's another thing. Scale. Balance beam scale is probably the most accurate, but they are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're what we call physician scale. I mean, that's like $175 or even more. So another way you can do it is electronic scale are getting better. There are some really good quality, highly accurate electronic scale now you can buy. And so what I do is that I go to a retail store, or the one that I bought, I got in Amazon. I went on Amazon. I literally researched it by crowdsourcing. There's a lot of ratings on it. People describe it. This is very accurate and all that. And I see a massive amount of people liking a certain scale. I think my scale costs about $40. It's a really good scale. It's a no nonsense, great platform, and the most important is I talk about scale. I actually really tell you got to put it on the flat surface. It's got to be a hard surface. You don't want to put it on the carpet. It really doesn't work well on the carpet. Mm-hmm. And you got to put it in some place where the temperature doesn't change too much. So I put in a corner of my bedroom where the temperature doesn't change too much. It's on the wood floor. And it's consistent there. We don't move it. We leave it exactly where it belongs. And then and I have checked myself, weigh myself, and I go to the office. I have a physician scale, so I check it, so it's pretty accurate.
Mhm.
So that's a way you can find a good scale, and when you have a good scale, it's really helpful.
I have a question for you because it was one of those jinx moments where literally a question came from the audience right in the seconds before you started bringing up the scale. And they said that they wanted to know, what about the scales that give the biometrics? Are those accurate and effective?
The biometrics are usually by electrical resistance of our body. I think they measure fat contents and things like that. It's not the most accurate, but it's a good reference. Okay, in the sense is that I mean, the like for example, the BMI, the best accurate way to measure is actually dump you into a pool and see how much water you displace, and that is actually nobody's going to do that. Okay, so they go by a certain approximation, and fat contents. Everybody's fat content is going to be different because we carry in fat differently. Sometimes we have more fat between our organs, what we call visceral fat, and sometimes we have more fat in our tummy, more fats in our hip, more fat in the back area, more fat in this flap over here, and so everybody's fat is a little different, but a lot of people like to take a caliper and they measure some of the fat in this area to see and give you some ideas of the fat content. And then I think the electric resistance biometrics are fine. You use this reference, just understand it's not like perfectly accurate. As long as you understand that, it gives you some reference point. It's the same thing as the pedometer, like a Fitbit or like an Apple Watch. It's not going to be like exact. It doesn't give you perfect accurate stepping, the amount of steps you do, but it's a reference point. Okay, give you a reference, and every day in day out compare to different reference because the tracker is now used to you, kind of have feeling of your movement and all that. It give you a pretty accurate reference overall, but it's not an accurate measurement. Okay, so that helps. So so biometrics is useful and it's a good reference.
And what about, I have a question regarding your tracker, because I honestly, I've never used one because I tend to just love walking. I walk everywhere for things and yoga, but I see the value in the tracker. For those that maybe haven't used a tracker before, is there a goal amount that you put into your tracker and then you use that as your reference for what you work towards each day?
Okay, this is what I'm going to tell you, Tiffany. I was in your position before. I really thought I walked 10,000 steps or more per day. Because I'm busy in the clinic. I walk around going room to room to my patients. I go to the herb room, putting the files in. I go to the front desk, greeting my patients. I'm walking a lot. So I'm thinking I do probably 10,000 easily. So when I put and set up my tracker and put it on me and start measuring, it was an eye-opening realization.
Oh.
I was shortchanging myself. I was wrong. I was averaging 5,000 steps a day.
Wow.
I was at 50% of what I thought I was doing.
Right.
Oh my God.
I need to go get one.
Oh my God. And I was like deluding myself. I'm going like, what? I cannot believe that. This is wrong. I was like shocked. I'm serious. I was shocked.
No, I believe you.
And I say, no, it cannot be. And I keep measuring it. I even use another pedometer. I have another pedometer. I got a present to try it out. No, I didn't get a present. I bought it for myself to try it out, to go against my Fitbit to see if it's accurate. Same thing, it came out about 5,000 steps a day.
Oh.
I said, God, this cannot be. I cannot. If I do this, I cannot tell my patient what to do if I'm, not setting the right goals for myself. So anyway, from that point, I changed a lot. I changed because I do exercise, I do Qigong and all that. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to make sure I walk 10,000 steps a day. And it's healthier to walk more. So I decided to do that. And I was able to achieve that overall now. I average more than 10,000 steps a day nowadays. I'm no longer 5 years ago at 5,000 steps a day.
That's fantastic. So is that a good starting point for us then, is the 10,000 steps a day?
I think so. I think you want to get to, I mean, it's an average. I mean, there's some day you're not going to do it. I mean, there's some days I'm going to do 8,000. There's some day I'm going to do 15,000. There's some days I'm going to go crazy. I mean, there are times where I go 30,000 and 40,000 when I'm hiking. So I just kind of take an average, understand that, you know, sometimes I just don't have time during the weekday as much. So I'm going to do a little bit less during the weekday. On the weekend, I'm going to have more time, so I'm going to do more. So I average it out more than 10,000 steps a day. But it is a good habit to do something every day. Every day, I try to make a point to do 10,000 steps a day.
Okay.
And I reach them, I think probably, I would say I reach that goal literally 90% of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
let me see what else. Did I miss anything? Yeah. So reward. You gotta reward yourself too. Okay. And a lot of times when I do good on my weight management, I reward myself. And everybody always think I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. Okay, I'm like every human being. I'm attracted to sweets. Okay, I'm attracted to everything that tastes good. I'm just another animal like everyone else. I'm no better. The only thing better is that I am a little more compliant, and I have learned how to manage myself better in the midst of forest of sugar and chocolates that's lays in front of me. I just don't even walk toward it because I know if I get toward it, I'm going to eat it.
Right.
So I have this like what we call restraining order. I have a restraining order from sweet table because I know I'm out of control. So I just got to stay away from it. Okay. So it's kind of little games I play, but you know, I have sim drinks. I like milk tea. You know, I come from Asia, and there are English British colonies where you know you got English breakfast tea, you got milk tea, and so my wife's fault. She introduced me to milk tea, and I love it. And so you know, they usually put a little sugar, so I get. So every time I say, okay, I'm gonna do that if I go hike. So I'm gonna get a little milk tea and maybe a little boba milk tea, and the boba, you know, it's tapioca, it's starchy, man, not so good for you if you do it every day, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, maybe you earn it if you do this hike. So I have this game that I play with myself. Okay, so I give myself 3 rewards after I do a certain hike and I reach a certain height. So if I do a hike at 14.5 miles, 4,000 feet climb, I'm going to reward myself. And I don't reward myself with enormous amount of food. I reward myself with a little noodle soup, okay, a little milk tea, and a foot massage.
How did that one sneak in there?
So 3 things, okay? 3 things. $20 foot massage in San Gabriel. I mean, it's like, that makes me happy.
Come off the mountain and get a massage. I love it.
Absolutely. So I'm giving myself reward. So what happened is I'm going like, if I don't go through that hike, guess what happened? I lose 3 things. I lose these 3 awards. I'm going like, damn, I got to do this. Okay. So also another thing is I really believe in the situation of earning it, not paying for it. Okay. So I have to earn it. I have to do something to earn that. You know, instead of like paying for it. Oh, let me just drink this thing right now and I'll exercise later.
Right.
Okay. I don't do that. I try not to do that because when you get into that kind of habit, you are in debt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing as what we do in our life. Only pay for it when you have it,
Mm-hmm.
when you have earned it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, don't do it. You
Okay.
can't afford it.
Why does our mind trigger like that, do you think?
I'm
Why,
sorry?
why do you think our mind triggers like that?
It's animal instinct.
Interesting.
We are surviving.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? When there's food, we want to eat it. We are, our midbrain back here says, "Hey, you're hungry. You got to go eat." And a lot of times, look, animal has eaten themselves to death. We can do the same way. We can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not like other animals. The last time I checked, we are at the top of a food chain for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
We are supposed to have this thing called frontal cortex.
Mm-hmm.
I think God or someone, the universe, given us this frontal cortex so that we are at the top of the food chain because we can think, we can rationalize. Don't throw that away because that's what makes us human. That's what makes us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So don't just always rely on your animal instinct. Your animal instincts sometimes are wrong. Sometimes are not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyway, so sometimes, for example, when you're hungry, oh, every time I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Well, guess what happened? You're going to be hungry a lot. You're going to just keep eating.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because your stomach is an on-demand system.
Mm-hmm.
The more you eat, the more you can handle you eating more.
So then that goes back to how you were saying about schedule a specific time and also proportion. Think about the proportions that you're giving yourself at each meal setting.
That's right, because you can rationalize that. You are smart. You can figure that out. Hey, this is not so good for me. We're not having a famine. Okay? If you're not having a famine, why are you eating so much? You don't need that much food. In fact, that other people who needs the food have the food. Share with other people. You don't need that much to survive, to think properly, to nourish your body.
What's the ideal, let's say, for dinner? Because I know we have in the past, they can refer back to other videos of full week meal planning, but when you're thinking about in terms of weight wellness, what's an ideal dinner scenario to give yourself?
Well, I think always a meal start with some basis. Okay, there's got to be some form of vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I usually have some form of fruits after a meal.
Mm-hmm.
And the fruits can be a piece of apple, can be a cut up apple, cut up pear. I rotate my fruits. I love fruits. So anybody who say I don't eat sweets, it's wrong. I eat sweets. My sweets is my fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just don't go overboard. Okay. Because you can also gain weight eating tons of fruits. Okay, so I just make sure that I only eat a certain amount of fruits. I don't go crazy over it. So make sure your vegetable. Nowadays, I have a vegetable as an important part of my meal. I have grains also, but I don't usually eat grains at dinner time. I usually eat grains more during the day, in the morning, and then lunch. I can really burn it off. I really need it during that time.
That's why you
Um,
eat them at that time, is because you're burning it off, or is there another reason?
yeah, you burning it off. I'm using the energy more. I really need it during that time.
Okay.
In fact, I do a lot of when I see patients, there's a lot of brain work, not just physical work, a lot of brain work. I find myself burning calorie very fast.
Mm-hmm.
You're really burning quite a bit, and you get hungry pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I need some grain for myself to be substantial to help myself. Usually, I don't have gluten allergy, so I can definitely eat whole grains. But what I try to do, trying to be balanced. So I have whole grains in whole rice. I have quinoa sometimes, and couscous. I have different grains that I try to go through. I have seeds and nuts. Okay, again, it's portion control. You're gonna make sure my lunch. I'm very fortunate that I have a mother and I have a wife who love to cook and who cook extremely healthy. You've seen my lunch.
Yes.
So I'm really just so spoiled. But anyway, I bring lunch from home and I have a container, and the food doesn't go beyond the container. That's my container and that's my lunch. It's very stable in that sense. I highly recommend that if you're not able and you're not interested in cooking, at least you start to figure out what is the best convenience food and what you can eat that's healthy and also in the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
And don't overdo it. Sugary soda is some of the worst. So trying to stay away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you stay away from that and occasionally that's the only thing to drink and drink it, that's not a problem. But stay away from that.
What do you recommend for individuals? Because I'm like you, I don't drink, I haven't had sodas really since I was a teenager. But if there was another beverage, because not everybody just wants to drink water all the time, and I certainly understand that, I think you do as well. What do you recommend to them as the next best beverage to have? And not vodka, something else.
Yeah, if you don't want to do vodka, we can do gin and tonic. That's always really great. No, I don't think that's gonna go. Water would be very good, and I think some water with flavored juice is also a little bit. It's a little flavor of how they soak like berries with the water and just drink the water. That'd be good. And sometimes a little Pellegrino is okay too. Sparkling is kind of exciting for your throat and gets that feeling and fizzling a little bit. And you don't need to put anything into it, just a little sparkling. And that sometimes is okay. That's kind of exciting. That's helpful. There's a lot of beverage you can have. You can have coffee, you can have tea, you can have some of these drinks. Just don't overdo it. Go for the Italian size or Spanish size. Don't go for the American size. I mean, American size is like, I had patient like having this coffee this size, 3 of them per day, and they're jittery. Their hands cannot even stand still. It's like always shaking. All right, that's too much. Keep it moderate.
Okay.
Drinking, 1 to 2 glasses of alcohol per day is not moderate.
No, it's not.
It's excessive. What's moderate is almost 1 drink per week. That's more moderate. And spread it out. That's moderate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's open it up to some questions, because we have been sharing all sorts of tips with everyone, but I think it's good to be able to hear their thoughts too. We have an individual who has a question. They say, I'm curious about going to Whole Foods plant-based lifestyle, which is more starch-based with no oils, which is much different than keto or even almost any other diet. Is this good for health in menopause, especially for losing weight as well as reducing risk for cancer and heart disease?
Oh boy, this is a very big area. And it's an area that is not an easy area to tackle. My mom is vegetarian.
Okay.
And I was a vegetarian for a short period of time also, for literally 3 months. And I couldn't do it. And I have to be honest about it. I couldn't do it. Now, it doesn't mean that I am really a serious carnivore. I'm really not. I enjoy fishery seafoods. I enjoy some chicken and some turkey. I can literally eat any meat, but I try to do my best to eat more vegetables and less meat in my diet. I think for ecology-wise, I think the more vegetable-based is good for our environment in the long run. Whether or not being a vegetarian, that's good for our health overall, I would say there are a lot of research that shows that it's quite beneficial, quite beneficial. But a woman it's a very unique situation that when I see patients and trying to, especially in the reproductive age, when a woman is trying to get pregnant, and when they're bleeding a lot or losing a lot of blood, sometimes they really need some meat. Sometimes the meat can really help them to restore that blood quickly. And the vegetarian source just doesn't cut it. And as much as I try to help, even herbally, sometimes a meat source can be very helpful in that situation. But in general, I think in general, a more plant-based diet is much, much healthier overall. And especially people who already have diseases or who are basically has potential to have heart diseases or who are overweight, potential to be pre-diabetic and diabetic. I think being more vegetarian diet would be very, very crucial. I also look at vegetarian-based diet also for cancer patients, people who might have cancer, and especially after treatments, I usually put them on more of a vegetarian-based kind of diet. So to answer that question, I think there's tremendous amount of value and tremendous amount of good things of doing a more vegetarian-based diet. But I think sometimes you have to be open-minded to other type of food, because in certain circumstances, other type of food can be also helpful also as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question is, why is it hard to get rid of belly fat weight?
Oh my God. It's so funny. I realize I also have a belly fat, and I realize is that it's genetics. My father has it. My grandfather has it. And it's funny, my weight actually is become less. I have less weight than before, but I have this belly. So I realize this part of it's genetics. I think part of that is genetic. And part of it is also fat content. And this is where that your body, especially men, this is where you start to, fat start to sit right here as we get older. And I realized that long ago that I need to keep fit. So I try to do my best to keep fit. And you can definitely, there are people who swear by having sit-ups and who do a lot of the belly fat exercise to burn some of the belly fat. And some people have very good results. And so you can definitely do that. Personally, I'm just not into it. I'm into more holistic exercise. I don't want to just develop one part of my body. So I do a lot more total exercises, such as Tai Chi, martial arts, Qigong, and hiking, swimming, much more bigger type of exercises, instead of like doing some curly weights or like just one area of the body. I try to do more of the other part of the body.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm with you on that one. Next question, I hope that answers that for that individual, but ask us more if you need it. What is your fastest weight loss tip?
Well, I don't know if the fastest weight loss tip is a good thing for your health. Because if you lose too much weight too quickly, it may not necessarily be beneficial. Your body may rebel, or your body may say, oh my God, it goes into a panic. It makes you more hungry and more starving, and is thinking like, oh my God, you're really like, you're having a problem. You need to just eat. So a lot of times my quickest weight reduction goes with diet. I think diet plays a big role, what you eat. And just looking at eating more low glycemic index foods, foods that is fulfilling, don't have so much calories.
Such as?
Well, grains, for example, has a lot of calories because it's dense. So, I mean, if you're in famine, take grain with you. Well, think about the Jewish people. When they get chased out of, Egypt, what do they carry with them? Unleavened wheat flour.
Right.
Why is that? They're very, very smart people. They have the wheat has one of the highest calorie per density. That's why. You can survive on wheat. Really? And a lot of people do that. They survive on wheat and the famine. You can do so much with that. Okay. So on the weight reduction side of it, you want to lose weight, then maybe you shouldn't eat so much wheat. So the very first thing, the gluten is out, right? The wheat product is out because it's got so much high calorie. So you start to eat things that's nutritious, but has a low glycemic index, of low sugar, low calorie, but high protein and maybe even a little bit of high fat. So a little olive oil, right? And how about vegetables? Vegetables are low calorie, okay? So you can eat more vegetables, for example. Okay, so in your diet, you start to shift. You don't have to go to a diet where you're only eating vegetables. You just eat less grains, have more vegetables, but still have plenty amount of food so you feel satiated, so you don't get hungry, for example.
Okay. Let's see. Our next question, how can acupuncture help with weight loss?
I frequently say weight control starts in our mind. Start with how we feel about ourselves. Start with how we understand what our body is doing. Deep knowledge we need to have. That's helpful for weight control. Anxiety doesn't help. Feeling anxious only creates more problem because anxiety just makes you eat more and makes you hate yourself more. You need to come to a place of peacefulness. Acupuncture helps to facilitate the release of dopamine as well as serotonin. So right off the back, with some of the brain neurotransmitter chemistry here, it actually helps for you to be a little happier, for you to be less depressed, for you to be more relaxed, for you to be more satiated. So having acupuncture treatment right away can actually help you to actually reduce the feeling of hunger, reduce the feeling of that you have to eat. So it reduces what we call anxiety eating or emotional eating. And a lot of time we eat emotionally. It's the way that we replenish or make ourselves feel better. And so I think just right off the bat, just on that part of it. Then regionally, I use acupuncture, for example, in the belly. And we do some electroacupuncture trying to see if we can stimulate metabolism of some of the belly fat and help to get rid of some of the belly puffiness. So we would do some electroacupuncture, for example, in the belly area or in the hip area on the sides. And I also work on cellulite. A lot of times, some of the thigh area, we get cellulite. So I would stimulate that area with some electroacupuncture. And I would also use some herbs, some topical spray for that area and taking some internal herbs to cleanse the body.
So you're saying then there is a way to reduce cellulite?
Yes, you can reduce it. You cannot really get rid of it.
Women, are you listening? This is like our number one question, Dr. Dow. We all want to know, how do we prevent cellulite or at least minimize it?
Yeah, the very first thing is fundamentally, there is a genetic component to it also as well. But the key is control the weight. A lot of times, if you control the weight to start with, you don't give that foundation for the cellulite. So, and then the next thing you do is to actually increase some of the burning in that region, some of the fat burning property in that region. Cellulite is basically store of cellulase. Unfortunately, a lot of people find it to be unsightly, and it is unsightly. So we're trying to reduce low cellulase in the thigh areas. We have some topical spray and things that we use to help to we go to jiggle that area, get things all stimulated, and then get electroacupuncture treatments in that area to trying to shrink and make some of the cellulite disappear. So that's what we do.
Okay.
It's not panacea, but it does help.
But it's helpful.
Yes.
And that's what counts for those that desire it.
Yes.
Tell us about, we have an upcoming detox retreat at both the Santa Monica Clinic and the Pasadena Clinic. Can you tell us a little bit about that? For
Excellent.
Those?
I think the detox retreat is wonderful because a lot of times in our life, the truth is, you and I knows, we live in a chemical soup. It doesn't matter where you are. You can go to countryside, you'll not avoid of it. The air quality of the whole globe is not the best anymore. We have a lot of pollutions everywhere, and we have a lot of pollution in our water, and we have a lot of chemicals. And this chemical leaches into our water supply, into our food supply. So all of us have chemicals in our body. And so, for example, one time I needed to take antibiotic. I rarely and never take antibiotics, and I really have to one time. And and I think it was the first time I ever taken an antibiotic, and it didn't work. Do you know what my doctor say? My doctor say, I think you're used to it. I say, no, there's no way. I've never taken an antibiotic before. And the physician tells me, well, I hate to tell you this, antibiotic is in our water supply. And all of us, they get used to it and no longer works. And also the antibiotic, it's a lot of the bugs have become resistant. So even if you never use an antibiotic before, you would think it would work really well for you. It doesn't work that well in certain situations. So a lot of times our environment is so polluted and our other insect or other animal, other bugs has transmutated. And they learn how to deal with the environment that we give to them. So in some ways, what we want to do is trying to do some cleansing, try to do some detox. So the weekend, first of all, we do a vegetarian-based diet, okay? And there's very little meat, if anything, a little fish, wild caught fish, and that's about it. So a lot of foods are very clean and organic, and we teach you about detox skills at home, and we do some body detox such as infrared sauna. We do some cupping, scrubbing. We take some internal herbs such as detox herb that we specially formulated to help to kind of clean our body, try to bind some of the heavy metal out of our body. That's what we're trying to do. And it's not necessarily set up to lose weight, but a lot of people, a lot of patients that go through some of the detox retreat, they do lose some weight. And it's a very good way to get started to help you to go through that cleansing. The truth is, this is September. I mean, we are coming toward Christmas. I mean, when you hit September, Christmas is already there. It's in the front. Okay, it's like it's going to be right there. Like it's going to hit your face so quickly, and it's eating time. Okay, winter people just eat more, and there's going to be parties. We're going to be drinking. We're going to be eating a lot of food. I think it's very important to cleanse yourself before that, and cleanse yourself after that. So we often have a detox retreat about now, and we often have a detox retreat in January or February to help the aftermath of the holidays.
Yes. Okay.
Also, there are some products I want to talk to people a little bit about. For example, berry. Berberine is an extract of Radix cupellatus, which we do carry, but there's a lot of places that sells it. That's actually very helpful to control blood sugar. That has been known to be helpful. So that's kind of something that people can take. If you're pre-diabetic, I would highly suggest you seek that out. You don't have to take our product. You can take other product that's berberine. So it's something you may want to look into. Probiotics would be very helpful. We do carry probiotic, but probiotic is especially if you're overweight and you have a lot of gas. You get constipated, things don't move through your bowel as well. Probiotic is probably a good thing to have, combined with some digestive enzymes. And we have digestive enzymes in our clinic that we use, such as phytozymes, basically vegetarian-based enzymes that could be very helpful. And we also have something like a B-Slim, which is basically help you to be having less sugar craving as well as less hunger, and they help you to lose weight much easier in that sense. So these are some of the things that we do carry. Ancient treasure tea can be very helpful to detox also as well.
And it's delicious too.
Yes, we serve in the parties.
Yes, we all love the tea.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're past our hour. We were having so much fun that we passed our hour.
Okay. Wow. 6:20. Okay. No problem.
So we are going to wrap up now. I think we were able to hit most of the questions. Some of the other questions you actually responded to as you were talking through your tips for us. But what are your parting thoughts? What would you like for us to walk away with, and especially as women tonight?
I think the most important thing about weight has a lot to do with how you feel about yourself. Never put yourself down. Love yourself more. Okay. Sometimes we eat more. Sometimes we are overweight because it's a defensive mechanism. We feel insecure. So we feel like we need to carry this weight to make us feel heavier. And that heavier is a way to saddle ourselves. And sometimes it's a spiritual thing. It's time to shed some of these burdens that you carry. Don't carry all the burden in the world onto your shoulders. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important. That's the spiritual side of the weight loss, or the weight control. Letting go is so important. We don't need that much. We can simplify our life. We don't need 100 pair of shoes. We only need 99 pair. Okay?
You knew, you were reading my mind.
We don't need that much. Don't carry so much burden.
Or replace it. I always say donate. If you really feel and you think you need something, don't be impulsive with it. Like, go back and see if it was just trying to find that thing inside of you to fill, or if a week later you really need it, how could you benefit somebody else, and then go get what you need.
Yeah, ask yourself this serious question. Do you really need it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need it emotionally, or do you really need it? A lot of times you will find a lot of stuff when we eat emotionally. Mm-hmm. We don't really need to eat that much to survive. We eat because it tastes good, and we want to keep eating it and eating it and eating it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dow. You know we love having you on with us monthly, and it's just, I see so many times feedback from individuals who watch your program and are truly appreciative of the advice that you give. So thank you for sharing all of this with us tonight. And I hope for our viewers, if you have any other follow-up questions, you're welcome to send them to us at marketing@infinici.com, and I will pass those on to Dr. Dow for you. We are going to be back next week again with you. It's telestudy time. So we will be returning for that. And then at the end of the month, we have Albert Vaca on with us, who is going to be chatting about, again, this topic of weight wellness, because it is our theme for September and very important to us. And we want to talk about childhood obesity. So whether it is something that touches your own family, or perhaps it is friends or relatives of yours, know that as a community, we can all support one another to make better decisions in terms of our health, just as you're seeing tonight with Dr. Dow. So thank you again, Dr. Dow. Thank you to our audience, and we will see you again soon. Have a lovely evening. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Tiffany.
Bye.
Bye.